Night of the Living Dummy 2.
Yeah.
We're here. Second ABH Book Club.
Yeah.
I think we'll go through the interactions like we've been promising the last couple of weeks first. Particularly Robbie and Andrew. It's going to take some time. But
Andrew did send what could be described as a tome.
Yeah, I think he did. Let's start with Robbie, the nice, short, easy one first. He said, your past show was fun, brought many people back to their early days of reading it. It'd be great to hear more reviews of these books because you guys make fun of certain situations and that's the adult perspective of the things we miss as kids. I think that's something we pointed out last time as well, isn't it? Reading it as adults is totally different. Like, we were being particularly harsh. We weren't looking at it as though, how would it seem to kids?
No, I think we were definitely...
had an adult perspective on it.
Yeah, and I think if Robbie was happy with the last episode, he'll probably be happy with this one.
I think he might very well be. If you enjoyed last one, more of the same.
Yeah.
He said there's a series of books you may or may not have read that I believe are just as good as Goosebumps. Not really.
I don't know whether that's possible.
Yeah.
Is it?
I don't know. Yeah, these are scary stories to tell in the dark. More scary stories to tell in the dark, and scary stories... Oh, more tales. Hang on. Scary Stories 3. More tales to chill your bones. These are the books that I think we said before that I recognise the covers.
Yeah.
They look familiar, but I don't think I've ever read them.
No, me neither.
The scariest part of these books were the horrifying illustrations. Recently, they've been updated with PG illustrations.
Yeah.
Here we go again. Which a lot of fans are upset about. If you decide to read one for a future show, make sure you get the January 1981 version. I think that they'll probably be quite expensive now.
Quite possibly.
They reprint them with less horrific pictures.
Well, it depends also on how we get hold of them.
Yeah, good point. I'm honest. I'm buying my books.
So am I.
Yeah. One story that contributed to Robbie's fear of spiders is a story about a girl who woke up with a pimple. Sorry, Tom. Do you want me to go over this again? You didn't like it when you read it the first time.
No.
Days went by and it got bigger. One day it popped and hundreds of tiny spiders crawled out of her face. Sweet dreams, ABH. Yeah, and Tom did actually tell Robbie that he's mean.
It's not nice.
No.
I am an arachnophobe. He knows this.
Yep. So's he, though.
This is true.
And I think there's usually thousands rather than hundreds.
You're
being mean. That reminds me of a story that I've told that people didn't believe, and there was a video of it on Facebook a while ago, a couple of weeks ago, like with a pregnant spider.
Oh,
they
with
burst.
Someone tried to hit it with a broom.
Yeah. That happened to me in real life. I've seen that. It's happened to me in my back garden. I went to kick one away, and it died, and I went, nope, going indoors.
Nope.
Yeah, nope, lots of nope. So thanks for that, Robbie. These are things I think maybe in a few episodes time we might start doing like polls.
Yeah, because we are deep in the throes of the Dummy trilogy at the moment.
Yeah, we've got to finish it.
Yeah,
we have to.
Because we're gluttons for punishment.
But yeah, we'll probably do a poll on our website.
Yeah,
maybe to see what book we should read in the future. We'll let you know about
what slightly rubbish children's horror book should we read next?
Not even slightly rubbish. Like
No.
Andrew's email, part of his email, near the end, I think it was, when he was saying about what books to read. Oh no, he did it on Twitter. Like he said about BFG and things like that. So more. I think we would try and maybe steer clear of shit books or these horror books and try and go for something a bit more.
Maybe.
Like a Roald Dahl book or... No, I don't know. A Winnie the Pooh?
Maybe, yeah. A.A. Milne. Nothing as highfalutin as Dickens or Shakespeare.
No, probably not. Andrew's email.
Here it goes.
Christ.
Thank you for your very, very in-depth response.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously we
it's
struck
incredible. It's just
we struck a chord somewhere, didn't we?
We can't really read verbatim, and I meant to make notes on as usual.
Notes on the actual email itself. He brings up a couple of interesting points.
Yeah. I think he was a bit kinder as well.
Yeah.
In saying as a child,
Yeah. And actually the depiction of the parents as a bit sulky and moody is to do with the fact that it's written from the perspective of the children.
Yes. That's a very important part, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's relating to the children, so
Yeah.
how a child would feel. Feel? I really emphasise the L then. Feel about the parents in these particular situations. Yeah, whereas we were just like, those parents are cocks. He said his first Goosebumps book was Curse of the Mummy's Tomb. And by first, he pretty much means it was the first one he owned at that time in his youth. I'm trying to change all the... he'd heard of the series. The kids he deemed cool and as such were not his friends. But how he so wanted to be the friend. I'm going to start... I'm trying to change the I's and the I'ms to the...
Yeah.
He wants to be friends at the time, had become interested in these books, so it was something I wanted to look into as well. So while grocery shopping with my grandmother one fateful evening, we looked into the book section of the store, and after somehow convincing my grandmother that my mother would be perfectly fine with my owning a horror novel, she bought it for me. Side note, my mother ended up not entirely thrilled with how I duped my grandmother. She didn't really cause much of a fuss, but she did make that parental threat of, if these books give you nightmares, well, you deserve them for what you did, and shame on you for having done it. Yeah. They're not that bad.
Nah.
It depends on... Like, my mum and dad were just kind of like, yeah, you read them.
Yeah, my parents weren't against it. In fact, they encouraged it because it was reading.
Yeah, I think that's the...
You know...
What's funny is the first book that I actually did read in the Goosebumps series was Let's Get Invisible, which, as is the case of First Loves, remains my favourite story in the entire series. I started to do it again.
Yeah.
I don't think I've read Let's Get Invisible.
No, me neither.
Yeah.
So I can't really comment. I think it's, I don't know, some enchanted thing about a kid who eventually turns invisible, and then it's not.
I think
as
it's one of those
fun
ones I saw the TV episode.
Yeah, possibly.
But I never actually read it, yeah. This particular story involves a kid finding a magic mirror on his birthday, one that turns him invisible when the closet light is on. And as it happened, the book came out around my birthday this year. So I was automatically linked. In that way that a kid will find any link whatsoever to anything. It's why most of the things I own are blue, because blue rhymes with Drew. Because it kind of rhymes with the second part of his name. It's his favourite. So that, because that came around his birthday, it's his favourite.
Yeah.
Let's get on with this anyway. The actual his review of the book. I admit it was because of Night of the Living Dummy that I brought into the if I become a ventriloquist, I will be seen as one of the cool kids mindset. They do make that.
Yeah, they really do. They push that.
Everyone loves the ventriloquist.
Yeah, it's like, is that the precursor to the guitar?
Yeah.
Everyone loves the guitarist.
Yeah. I just thought guitars were cool. Yeah. It wasn't all that bad. Oh, this is about his dummy. He got a $49.99 version of a dummy, which wasn't all that bad, if you excuse the lack of the eye movement and the fact that every time the dummy went to speak, the motion of pulling the string brought the head back so far, you'd pretty much smack yourself with it every time the damn thing had dialogue. The breakdown. As I mentioned in a slew of tweets I had sent you guys when I first heard y'all were covering Night of the Living Dummy. There you go, North Carolina.
Y'all.
I went and found my copy of the book and decided to read it again for nostalgia's sake. Fortunately, as I had gone through a period about 10 years ago where I decided to read through a good majority of the series from the start as an adult, he did it off his own back.
I know.
All of them. Crazy.
And didn't podcast it. What was he thinking?
He probably would have done if he was podcasting at the time. I was mentally prepared for the rough ride of which Night of the Living Dummy and its writing style would take me. Yeah. Nevertheless, I too found myself wincing and shaking my head at 12-year-old me, but then forgiving said version of myself, as that version had yet to be acquainted with the likes of Adams, of Pratchett, of King, and Coots. So, to what you guys said, that Goosebumps was the gateway to my then, future, now current reading habits. If anything, it got me to be an avid reader. The book's coming out. A new one every month.
Yeah, I didn't realise that.
I didn't.
No, so no wonder they were written a little bit sloppily.
Yeah, so... But it's like a novella coming out. It's not like a comic book coming out.
True, it's only about 60 pages, isn't it,
but
each time? But
it's still
that's
a
quite,
lot.
Yeah.
It kind of probably is a good reason for why they are as they are. He agrees with the sentiments that the lack of description and lack of establishment of time were what really stood out.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you pointed out. Reading this as a 32-year-old vertically grown person, and yet while listening to you guys talking about that aspect of the storytelling and how off-putting it was, it brought to mind a conversation that Kelly of Mating Habits and I had taken part from her as of now current episode.
Which was a few weeks ago
now.
now.
In that conversation we talked about why the stories of Twilight, 50 Shades of Grey are so popular in the mainstream. A key component being that the reader is giving enough of the story and as such should be able to paint the picture around it based on aspects of the reader's personal life. In short, the lack of the strenuous detail makes it easier for the reader to put him or herself into the position of the main characters, which I suppose is true.
It's kind of a cipher,
if you're not
isn't
too descriptive, it's easier to imagine you're there.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, I suppose in a way it's to encourage you to use your own imagination, maybe. I guess.
Or is it a way for the writer to not use their imagination?
Maybe, I don't know, yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot to... It's kind of, I'm very aware that it's taken a lot, but I really want to read it.
Yeah, well, do.
So we can go with Night of the Living Dummy was written with 12-year-olds in mind. What do 12-year-olds know about life? What they glean is that it is them against the world. This is what you were pointing out, isn't it? They are almost teenagers, and as such they know everything there is to know about life. No parent can tell them otherwise. What do parents know anyway? Just something to look forward to over the next couple of years. Yep, thanks. We're getting there.
Yeah.
She's 8. The stereotype is that they're rebellious. Ask a preteen to make their bed. They roll their eyes and say, "What? Wasn't my waking up at 11:30 after your constant badgering for me to get out of bed enough for you?" Yeah.
I remember those days.
We get a lot of that with Chloe at the minute. It's kind of, oh, look, I've tidied that one up. Why do I have to tidy that one up as well?
Yeah.
It's that time when they somehow get it in their heads that they and their parents are on an even playing field, so to speak. Yeah. You think you're level. I'm independent. I can think for myself. I can do stuff on my own. I don't need you to tell me what to do anymore. With Night of the Living Dummy, this is only expounded by the fact that the twins and their parents have basically the same speech patterns. As you guys mentioned in the episode, the reader forgets what age the girls are based on how they speak. However, I feel the exact same way about parents, when their lines of dialogue, especially towards the end, are less parental sounding and more like throwaway lines to continue the ever-present tension in the scene. Never mind the fact that the people speaking are probably about 20 years older than the main characters themselves. When Mr. Powell is talking to Chris's claim that Mr. Woods is alive, his lines of "You're crazy, you need to see a doctor" make me feel that were the Powells written to be more culturally diverse, we'd have seen Mr. Powell put his hand on his hip and say, "Girl, you be tripping." All the while Mrs. Powell is standing in the background, swivel neck on fleek, punctuating her husband's proclamations with Very good point.
Yeah.
It's, again, like you said, because it's written for the children, they kind of can't make the adults sound too much like adults, I suppose. I
guess. It's probably a stylistic choice on behalf of Stein.
It's probably just lack of imagination on Stein's part, I suppose.
Or maybe it's because he has to chuck them out once a month.
Probably, yeah. Good point. The shoddy nature of storytelling with the disbelieving dialogue coupled with the sporadic and sudden changes in time setting. This writing, is amazing. It's definitely geared more towards preteens than it is to men in their early 30s.
What are you saying?
What do you say? I remember back in those days having a reader's mindset of, okay, what happens next? And that at that time in my youth, I foolishly didn't pay mind to what was going on around the characters or what may have happened in between the time when the twins buried Mr. Wood and when they put themselves back in bed. Which, this week. Maybe during said drink of water, they talked about what the next word on their word a day calendar would be, seeing as how cathedral worked so well the same day they went into the framework of the house next door. Regardless, I was more concerned with whether or not they were successful in their burying of the malevolent dummy than any of the minutiae surrounding it.
This is true. We are early 30s men reading something.
But how the fuck did they get there? Rather than I wonder what Mr. Wood's going to do next.
Yeah.
Because we're not finished yet. There's another chapter. Yeah, that's it.
A whole other.
Yeah, so something else has to happen.
Yeah, true.
And Stein stated that level of readership for me at the time by giving me just enough. That's a very good point about Cathedral as well.
Yeah.
That it's something that they might have picked up on.
Perhaps, yeah.
And they just used it for everything.
Yeah.
Rather than...
Although
I think that's in an earlier paragraph in this email. He actually mentioned that. But yeah, so... Yeah. Oh, here...
Have you found it?
I believe so. Yes. You guys raised a lot of interesting questions during the episode, one of which I feel successfully resolved with my word-a-day calendar reference. For some reason, I feel those girls would be the type of people who, upon learning a new word, would use it on everything until, as luck would have it, they connect it to the correct thing. And who knows, maybe what they were referring to as a cathedral ceiling was utter bullshit, and they were just showing off the new word they'd learned.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. If R.L. Stein had put in a thing about them having some sort of word calendar, it would have made a lot more sense.
Yeah.
I mean, Andrew puts forth a good point.
Yeah, it's a very good point.
Yeah.
Because you do, when you're a kid, you learn a new word, you use it until you use it correctly.
Yeah. It's trial and error.
On the question of was Slappy alive the whole time, which I said I thought he was, he disagrees. If I'm to go forth and base my response on a semi-coherent piece of fiction, I would be led to believe that neither dummy was sentient until the words on the slip of paper were uttered. Yeah. At that point, both dummies were alive, but one of them was clever, kept to himself, and decided to see what the red-headed doll would do and how the slaves would react to what it did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's probably...
I think it's it was something that we brought up in the episode.
Because I thought Slappy was alive and he placed the piece of paper in Mr. Wood's pocket.
However, it was actually Lindy who was doing all the bad things anyway, which is it was kind of put forward in the book, but you're not 100% sure.
Yeah.
But I think that is the way it should be read.
Yeah, he does raise some really good points. Yeah. Up until that point, anything and everything Slappy/Wood were done by Lindy. Up until the scene where Lindy realises Chris is wrestling with a now revealed to be sentient Mr. Wood. Lindy goes on with her, "Come on, Chris, this isn't funny anymore. Stop copying the bad thing I did to you" statements. Because Lindy playing the jokes, Chris now... Lindy thinks Chris is taking it until she sees them fighting.
That's right.
Everything that had been established with Mr. Wood attacking Slappy... Slappy saying all of those hideous things to Chris, they were done by Lindy, one half of a set of twins, sick of having everything they do and have come as a pair. I'm not a twin, but I can totally relate. When my brother, who's 2 years younger, and I would do anything or receive anything, it had to be similar, if not the same thing. We sometimes wore the same colours, or were signed up for the same sports. And when I showed any independent interest in something, if my brother showed an inkling of that same interest in that same something, I did everything within my power to ruin that for him. I wouldn't go so far as fictitious 12-year-old twin girl, but I can definitely understand the emotion behind the things that Lindy did to Chris. And again, how old are these girls? I mean, when I was 12, I wouldn't have had the audacity to pull a stunt like Lindy did with the refrigerator and the food all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was ridiculous, dumping all the milk everywhere.
It was a bit mental, wasn't it?
And as for Mr. Powell, yeah, you guys are probably right. He's boffing his assistant in Portland.
Yeah. I mean, there's no other explanation as to why he was in Portland.
Boffing.
Boffing.
I love that.
Good use of the language there.
Yeah.
I thought that was a very English,
boffing,
British thing.
Conclusion. Well, guys, I think I made this message long enough. In fact, it may have been even longer than the subject it was written about. I like words. And you now see why my resort on Twitter for my tirades instead of more open meaning of writing. With any luck, something was gotten from this debate, diatribe, of an email. If anything, I hope it made you guys chuckle, which you did.
Yes.
At one point or another. Yeah, and if we'd like to talk more on the subject, goodness me, there's more. I'm always a tweet, email, text, carrier pigeon away. Until next time, from this email, I have been Andrew. Bye. Love it.
No, it was a really, really,
and there's
really
like one
good,
or two paragraphs I missed out.
Yeah, really good in-depth discussion
yeah.
on the book that we discussed last time.
Yeah, and I think we'll have to get him on for an episode.
Most definitely, yeah. He's got some good ideas for books that we should go on to read.
Yes, which we will look up on Twitter and we'll put them in the poll along with Robbie's one and any that we might think of ourselves, like Point Horror. And yeah, again, try and somehow figure out how we can do a choose your own.
Yes.
That'd be good.
Yeah. Like I said to him, I did have a reboot choose your own adventure one when I was a kid. And I hope, well, I don't know, if my mum's given away, or given away all the Goosebumps ones, I'm pretty sure she'll have given that one away as well.
Yeah, more than likely, but
I'm sure there's ways around it.
Yes. So that was Andrew's email, which
No, we can't thank him enough, really, for his contribution there. It was
and it's constant interaction as well. I mean, his knowledge of books, because like I said, I was reading Odd Thomas, which I finished. It was good. I was going to take a break and read another book that I had queued up, but I've gone on to the second Odd Thomas book,
right?
Because I just really enjoyed it. It just sits with me. It's Dean Koontz. It's easy read, quite advanced subject matter. Someone refers to them as horror.
Yeah,
I don't think they're horror. But then again, I've read The Shining, which is supposed to be a horror,
but
because Stephen King's a horror writer. I didn't find it to be horror. It's more thriller, psychological thriller. Yeah. The same with Odd Thomas, is more of a thriller mystery type thing. But it's really good.
Yeah.
And I was reading it. I was like, I hope this doesn't happen, and it did. And I didn't like it.
Oh dear. Continuing with the negativity.
No, I didn't like it in the sense that it was. Yeah, I didn't want it to happen, even though I knew it would.
Right.
I'm going to put a link in the show notes, because there was a Reddit thread I saw the other day, which is what's the most beautiful paragraph or sentence you've ever read.
Oh, right.
And it's from the books subreddit. And I'll put a link, because there's some really nice ones, like I think it's one in Winnie the Pooh about Pooh says, "What day is it today?" What day is it? And Piglet replies, "Today." And Pooh thinks for a second and says, "My favourite day." And it's like stuff like that, really nice. But there's loads of really good ones in there that are worth reading. It makes you want to read books.
Okay.
So I think the original poster read Lolita, and the opening paragraph of it made him like. And I read that. I was like, that's beautiful.
Right. Okay.
So I'll put that in show notes for people to look at.
Cool.
And I think we should probably get into Night of the Living Dummy 2.
Why not?
By R.L. Stein.
Yeah. So it's the second in the saga, the Dummy Saga.
Slappy's back, I believe.
Slappy's. That is the
tagline.
No, he's still walking. He's still talking.
Oh, okay.
Terrifying.
Except I don't think he actually walked in the first book. He just raised his hand up to grab her hand as she went to shut the window.
He didn't walk, no.
He didn't walk at all.
Mr. Wood did.
Yeah. Instantly wrong.
Yeah. So, my first note on this is that I'm already on Amy's side.
Oh, really?
From the jump, I was on Amy's side. Because...
Her vulnerability?
I don't know.
Hold up, we should probably say there's 3 siblings in this one. No longer twins.
No.
3 siblings.
All 2 years apart.
Yeah,
her
Sarah
older sister
is 14.
Yeah.
Amy is 12.
Yes.
Jed is 10.
Yes.
So it's not twins competing with each other.
No.
It's 3 children, and the focus is the middle child.
Yeah. Not the first, not the newest.
Also, another thing to note about it is it's in first-person narrative rather than third.
This is true,
person.
yeah. So it's written from Amy's point of view.
Yes, so
My name is Amy Kramer.
Yes.
And every Thursday night I feel a little dumb. That's because Thursday is family sharing night at my house.
It kind of centres around family sharing night.
Oh.
You've seen all these types of things before.
Oh, family sharing night.
It does sound terrible.
Sounds like a fucking awful night with the dad who thinks he's a brilliant singer and guitarist.
Yeah.
Her mum, who's gone prematurely bald by the sounds of it. Her mum, who's a bit pudgy and is a bit sensitive about her weight.
Yeah, I've got a note on that later.
Have you? Yeah, because it comes up.
Yeah.
The annoying 10-year-old brother who's just a bit obnoxious, and the pretentious older sister who's a brilliant artist. I can't remember quite what it was. I think I'm on her side because she thinks that it's completely dumb and stupid.
Because it is.
Yeah,
I've got that.
I'm sure it's a lovely thing to do if your family is that way inclined. But
my opening, because I was writing, stopping for every paragraph and writing a note. I stopped that not towards the end, so don't worry. I put first person narrative rather than third. 3 siblings. Last time there was 2. Obviously, it's told from the middle child's perspective, and they have a cat, not a dog. Already, RL has completely separated the 2 books.
Yes.
It's totally different.
Yeah, good point.
Totally different. You've got to put the differences right out there on Front Street. Yeah, Amy is Sarah's really talented, and Jed is a goof.
Yes, with red hair. There's an anti-gingerist statement on page 1.
Yeah, yeah, but is that a callback to Mr. Wood being ginger?
Quite possibly.
Possibly, I don't know. Or maybe R.L. Stein just doesn't. Because he made the ginger one evil in the first one, and now he's making the ginger one a dick. Yeah, so Amy, like Sarah, as you said, is an artist, so she shares all her new paintings, and Jed doesn't take it seriously. Yeah, actually, I made the note here. Jed described as a redhead with freckles, similar to Mr. Wood? Question mark. I actually did make that note without realising.
Yeah. Oh, this is why I got on her side. Page 2.
Yeah.
I have a really good collection of CDs, but no one else in my family is into Bob Marley and reggae music. I said,
12-year-old who's really into Bob Marley.
Yeah, this is not is not the weirdest thing.
Yeah,
that I didn't actually pick up on that, but later I pick up on another 12-year-old with a similar thing. But I said anyone who dislikes reggae music is suspect.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, there's nothing not to like, really, is it?
No, it's pretty unoffensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, family sharing night. The sister is a talented artist. She always brings some painting that she's working on.
Yeah.
Jed dicks about and burps. Sometimes that's his contribution.
Yeah.
He's a 10-year-old boy. And she is like, well, I've got some seashells in a jar.
Yeah,
and I've got some reggae music, but that's pretty much it.
But Dad does say that she is good at making up stories. Typically, she thinks he's only saying that to be a good parent, which you do as a child. Oh, you're just saying that, even if you are really good at telling stories. Amy already has a ventriloquist dummy.
Yes, she does.
In the start of the book, Dennis.
Yeah,
he's falling to bits. She complains, as Dad said, he can't buy her a new one.
Yeah.
Because they're too expensive.
Another family that can't afford a dummy, yet can afford quite a few other things that happen throughout the film book.
Right, so he can't afford it. They're too expensive. Yeah. Sarah's turn to share. She has painted a watercolour of their cabin they used to have in Maine. But dummies are too expensive.
Well, maybe they spent all their money on the cabin.
Maybe that's why they had to sell the cabin.
Yeah,
because they can't afford it anymore. But what?
Yeah, that's one of the notes that I wrote down as well. Yeah.
Next note: Jed's a little shit.
Yeah,
that's all I've got.
But also, the fact that he's a little shit also brings out the whininess of the parents.
Yeah.
Because. He basically burps. Sarah moans that he's gross, and then Jed says your face is gross, which made me laugh.
Yeah.
So's your face.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
And then the dad tones in saying, Jed, please give us a break tonight.
Yeah.
Don't cause trouble.
It's very
And then the mum's like, that's not very funny. Stop being mean to your brother. And it's just whiny again. It's that kind of whiny
constant
parent syndrome.
Bickering.
Which is kind of like what maybe Andrew was saying in that it's from her point of view this time, and she thinks that's how they sound. Yeah. But what I did notice in this first chapter, or possibly the second chapter, I forget now, but R.L. Stein describes things. He describes the layout of the house.
Oh, did he?
He said
I missed that part.
Amy and Jed have it's a bungalow. It's a one-level apartment.
Yes, he did.
Their bedrooms are down one side. The living quarters are in the middle, and the parents and Sarah's bedrooms are right up the other end.
Yeah, Sarah, the talented one's right next to the parents.
Yeah,
But one thing about Sarah, this 14-year-old, that I noticed, said she's got a painting somewhere, hasn't she, Tom?
She does.
Yeah.
In a museum. Because she's that talented.
She's that talented. She's got a painting in a museum.
Just like Lindy was going to go on the TV with her ventriloquist act.
Yeah.
They're all the older sister is. Oh no, not that she was older, but the one with the talent is always the one with the mega talent.
Yeah, it's like there's a painting in a museum.
I'm gonna imagine it was like a school she's won a competition or something.
Another thing I noticed: there's page breaks. I don't know if there is in the version you read.
I don't know whether there are in this one because it's a version with
Let me just show you quickly.
But one of the other things that I noticed, sorry.
Yeah, no, carry on.
Was that Amy has very low self-esteem that we've picked up on. So they do have page breaks. Yeah, it didn't have it on my version.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But that didn't jar with me as much as it did with the first book.
No, but it is good. It's separating the scenes and like when they're outside and they go to the bedroom and there's sort of
because they definitely weren't there in the first.
No, not at all. Not in my version. Not in her version.
Yeah, the other thing about Amy is she's got a really low level of self-esteem, which could get a bit grating. I said. This could be a little bit annoying if she's like, oh, I'm a bit rubbish and everyone's so better.
Too emo, yeah.
And I was like, is that a possible reflection of Stein's own psyche?
We're helping.
There's Stephen King up there, and he's really good.
I'm writing books for kids.
Yeah, the writing is definitely a bit better this time.
I think so. Yeah.
Description. Although the dialogue is not quite as good, like between the characters, it's of.
But the way it flows, the way it moves, the pacing, and the way he writes, I enjoyed this one more.
Yeah, there weren't any.
There were points in it when I forgot to take notes because I was actually slightly engrossed in it, which is really weird to say.
There were chapters I forgot to make notes on.
Yeah, it was a bit weird because I stopped being so critical and I just read it and I was like, oh, it's not that bad.
Yeah. Yeah, so there is an improvement because this is number 25, I believe, and the first dummy one was number 7.
Yeah,
wasn't it? So he's had however many that is.
He's had a few books to kind of find his writing
15.
style. Yeah. I did notice
there was a bit that one of the kids, I think Jed, drew on Sarah's.
Well, that's it. This is from family sharing night. They all shared, and it was Sarah's turn to share.
Yeah,
and she said, "I've got a new painting. Come to my room."
That's right.
And that's the painting of the cabin.
Yes,
I believe it was. And it was on cliffs, and he drew on a smiley face, a yellow smiley,
the little
an emoticon.
Thing, yeah,
he drawn on the cliffs.
They all reacted with shock.
Yeah,
and horror, terror.
Yeah.
At this thing that had happened, and I was like, why is the Nirvana symbol / acid face so terrifying? Because it would have been the acid movement, wouldn't it?
I think they're probably just more shocked that he would do that. Yeah. More than anything. But he was made to apologise, banned from going to the movies with his friends.
Yeah.
Sarah protested that the punishment wasn't enough and was told to keep out of it.
Yeah, but
it was her painting
that he'd defaced,
and she had to keep out of it.
True. What I also said, like they said that it's the worst thing he's ever done, and I said if that's the worst thing Jed has ever done, they're really lucky.
Yeah.
As a 10-year-old boy.
Yeah, they were so harsh about it because he was really. I think it comes on later. No, in the next chapter, Jed thought that Amy should back him up after he ruined Sarah's painting. I really don't like Jed. Here's my comment.
Yeah. And there's the bit where she says, sometimes I spell the word Jed, B-R-A-T.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're so freaking hardcore.
Yeah. And I noticed as well in that chapter that R.L. Stein appears to be really good at describing what light looks like coming through the window at night.
Yes.
Because he did that in the first book.
Yeah, that's right.
And, that was one of the things he did. And then he did it in this one as well.
Yeah.
Say, how the moon shines on her room. And it's like, that seems to be like a
as
trope.
The shadows dance across the ceiling. Yeah. Yeah, that is one of the things that he does really enjoy describing.
And then there was a practical joke. Jed this was why he did. This is what he did. He put Dennis's head, because Dennis's head fell off during family sharing night.
That's right, yes. Yeah. That's it, because that's why she needs the replacement dummy.
Very important.
Yeah.
Because, Dennis falling apart, his head falls off. And Jed put Dennis's head on Amy's window ledge to scare her. Very reminiscent of Dummy 1, where Mr. Wood kept appearing, sitting up and staring at her from the window.
Yeah, that's right.
And Jed did that because she didn't back him up with the painting when he defaced the painting. Or faced the painting, I suppose, because he put a face on there.
True.
Rather than defacing it.
It's good.
I apologise.
It's good.
Yeah, and there was a part... the end of chapter 3, she says that Dad... Hang on. The words are... Yeah, Dad brought home a present for me, a new ventriloquist dummy. That's when the real trouble began. Now, I've put, all of a sudden, this is a journal/memoir.
Yeah.
Because this is where it all began. Yeah, because
it was happening in real time.
And then it goes, this is when it began. Yeah. Also, where did he bring it home from? Is this another dad that kind of goes off somewhere? Like, he doesn't ever say he goes to work.
No, it's true. He doesn't seem to.
He brought home a present.
Yeah.
From where?
Yeah. Yeah, well, he said that he picked it up from another shop that was getting rid of it really, really cheap. In fact, he was practically giving it away.
Yeah.
And then we know that it is him. And also, he comes with the name Slappy as well.
Yeah, that's true. He's always already established. He's already got the piece of paper in his pocket.
So quite what has happened between...
Yeah, that was one of our questions. How did they get rid of him?
Yeah.
Like, and why is he not alive anymore?
Well, yeah, exactly.
Why is he not sentient anymore? Why does he need the paper?
Yeah.
But also, like I said, that happens at the end of chapter 3. Before that, she was on the phone to her friend Margot. Yeah. And then she says, Dad brought home a present. And then in chapter 4, it's leading up to Dad bringing home the present.
Yeah, Margot came over the next afternoon.
Yeah, I put a comment, is Margot a dwarf? Because she's described as being really tiny, sort of like a mini person.
Midget. Yeah.
A mini person. It's like, is she a dwarf?
She's either a dwarf or a midget.
She's tiny. She's like a foot shorter.
Yeah, I said lots of descriptions of Margot.
Yeah.
Lot of description about her.
She's tiny.
Yeah.
She's got a really little voice. She's small.
But
she's
what
petite.
12-year-old in the 90s listens only to the Beatles?
Yeah.
Her parents must be awful.
I don't know when Jake started listening to the Beatles.
No, I know, and people do. People do.
I've started listening to them a lot.
Yeah, I've listened to. I don't mind them.
I've never really listened to them. Now I listen to them quite a lot in the car. I might listen on the way
but
home.
As a 12-year-old,
yeah, that's a bit
in the
odd.
90s.
I don't know, because like when I was growing up, my mum always listened to Bon Jovi, and I kind of got into that, and Dad was Status Quo.
Yeah,
I kind of picked up on their musical, but yeah, just solely the Beatles is a bit weird.
Like she listens to nothing else but the Beatles.
I just went to tap my pad to turn the page.
He's talking about a paper pad, not an iPad.
You'll see that on the video. And then me looking like just a bit of despair on my face. So yeah,
she really, really loves "Love Me Do" as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she knows all the words.
Yeah.
Well, she only sang half of it though, didn't she?
Then Dad comes back.
Yeah, well, Margot leaves because she says, "Oh, my dad, who owns a party house, which is a big house converted to hold parties."
Yeah.
My dad saw you perform at the school talent show last year, and he wants you to perform for some birthday parties.
Yeah.
She said, "Well, my ventriloquist dummy's falling apart. I need a new one, but Dad won't buy me a new one." Blah blah blah. Margot leaves, and then Dad comes home pretty much instantly.
Yeah.
With a dummy.
Yeah.
Called Slappy. The shopkeeper showed Dad how to blink.
Yeah. Yeah.
He showed him.
Yep.
Demonstrated how Slappy blinks.
Because the big thing about Slappy over Dennis is the fact that he's newer. His eyes are more clear. Yeah. Like Dennis is a bit kind of worn away, isn't he?
Yeah.
But Slappy's eyes can move, and the guy in the shop, like you said, showed the dad, whose name we don't, Mr. Kramer, I suppose.
Dad. I just keep referring to him as Dad.
Yeah, because that's all they refer to him as in the thing. Showed him how to move the eyes. So he explains how to move the eyes to his daughter.
Yes.
Who then goes to move the eyes on the puppet and touches something warm and soft and spongy.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, it's his brains." And
yeah.
Because she's a bit freaked out.
It did make me feel a bit weird when I read that. I was a bit like,
ugh.
Which is weird.
Which shows that the writing is good because it gave you a physical reaction. Yeah. I had the same thing.
Yeah. It was really odd.
And what then happens? They
clean him out.
The dad puts his hand in there, pulls out a mouldy sandwich, and he's like, "Oh, this seems to have been in there for about a month. It's horrible and disgusting and furry and yuck."
Shall I quote what the dad said?
Please do.
In unison.
Yeah.
With Amy.
Yeah.
Yuck. Yeah. Do dads say that?
I don't know.
Do they do that?
You're a dad. Have you ever?
Not really. No, not when I'm genuinely disgusted by something. If we're messing about, yes, I might.
Yeah.
But not if I'm disgusted. My comment on that is someone left a sandwich in Slappy's head. How big is Slappy?
Yeah, quite a large head.
To have a sandwich in it.
I mean, if it was stuffed up in there.
It says there's a sandwich in his head.
Is that not a half a sandwich? Not like a triangle?
Yeah. So why then did the shopkeeper not notice the sandwich?
Yeah, I said if the guy in the shop showed her dad how to control the dummy's eyes, when did the mouldy sandwich get there?
Yeah.
And how was it there for a month?
Yeah. And then I put, how did Slappy end up in the pawn shop? Why wasn't he alive before anyone read before Amy read the words?
Because then
dummy one never happened.
They take a lot of notice of other things on the dummy, don't they? They inspect him closely for other hidden things, and they really he describes Slappy. He describes him as like the shoes are stapled onto the
he's got
thing.
no bones.
He's got no
which was a big point of contention for the last one.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
How does he hold himself up?
And they describe.
They polish him.
He's got a suit on but no shirt. He's just been painted white underneath.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, very
and the
descriptive.
lip has got a little chip in it, so it doesn't quite match up, which I think was said in the first one.
Possibly, I can't remember that.
No, me neither. But then she looks inside the jacket and there's the paper and she reads the words straight away, as you would, and they are the same words because I went back and had a look.
Oh, did you? You double checked?
Because I thought he might have But
there was a translation on the last synopsis thing we read, wasn't there?
Yes.
Which there was never in the book.
No.
And once she read the words, Slappy blinked and twitched his lips.
Yep.
Seemingly on his own.
Yes.
Then she announces that to the dad, and the dad looks at him, and then Slappy slaps the dad round the cheek.
Yeah.
So Amy takes him to her room.
Yeah, he gets the dad gets really pissed off and is like, I don't like practical jokes.
Yeah.
And
get to your room.
Yeah.
So she takes this dummy that just blinks
and she's like, well,
dad.
she reframes it in her mind, saying that like maybe her dad picked it up too fast and the hand flicked up, and that must be he can't have blinked, he can't have moved.
Yeah, I don't understand how the dad thought that she did it when he picked the dummy up.
Yeah.
I don't get that.
Exactly. I missed that bit as well. Then she decides to just, start up a routine because she calls Margot and says, I've got this new dummy. It's a bit possessed, but I'm going... You can tell your dad that I'll do the party.
Yeah, well, that makes me think, where does... it's not important, but where does Margot live? Because she left, Dad came home instantly, they had the dummy, they looked over it, 10 minutes? 10 minutes?
Probably that.
And then she went up to her room and phoned Margot. Where does Margot live?
Don't know.
Because I think she walked home on her own. Like, her dad never came to get her.
Even though later in the book she said that her dad can drop her off. So it must be a drop-offable distance away, but somehow I don't know.
She's already home.
Who knows?
Yeah, it's pointless, but yeah, I didn't make many notes on this next part because I got into it, I think.
There was... I didn't understand the knock-knock joke about Wayne.
What does it say?
The joke that it is, because she basically goes out and she gets a load of joke books from the school library so that she can practice her routine in front of the mirror. I propped Slappy up and turned back to the mirror. Knock, knock. Who's there? Wayne. Wayne who? Wayne, go away, come again. And it's Rain, isn't it? Because it's got a lisp. Okay, right. I do get it now.
Yeah, because it's hard to say room with the ventriloquist.
I didn't get that.
Yeah, no, that's fine. The next comment I've got is about Jed posing as Dennis. When he puts Dennis's head on his
right,
shoulders.
Yeah.
I don't know how far through that is.
No, I'm not. Oh no, it was only a little bit after that because he was excused from the table because he smeared his face with spaghetti like a baby.
Yes, I was getting really annoyed with that. I almost put a point about that, saying he's 10, and he's got spaghetti bolognese all over his face.
He's allowed to get away with it because the parents are taking absolutely no notice because Sarah is amazing.
Yeah, and is that where she refers to one of her paintings as a work of art?
Yeah.
Well, that's earlier than the book, I think. Fucking pretentious girl, but hey,
she's 14. She probably is quite pretentious.
Yeah, so my comment on that is because he got sent away and then he comes back with the
Dennis's head on top of his head underneath.
He's got a polo neck, not a polo neck, a roll neck.
Yeah,
I think so. He pulls that up over his head and then puts Dennis's head. My comment is, what the fuck? How big are those dummies?
Yeah.
Slappy had a sandwich in his head and Jed was posing as Dennis and Amy believed it was actually Dennis.
Yeah.
So this is a 10-year-old boy. She thinks a 10-year-old boy.
So
was
the head
dummy.
must be sizable.
They're not that big, ventriloquist dummies. So how would she mistake her brother?
Know. She said that he's very thin and whatever, but
yeah.
But
of course your family laughed at you. You thought a 10-year-old was a dummy.
Because she gets really upset, which you probably would do.
Oh, they're just laughing at me. You know what I mean? But, well, yeah, of course they did. Because you're a dickhead. I'm sorry. And then I've got the next family sharing night.
Yeah, I don't think I made any notes. On this
the next family sharing night, which I think was a bit later the same day.
Yes.
I think. And the mum works in a store.
A ladies' clothing store.
And she made fun
of a fat person.
Yeah.
Who split all of the items of clothing she tried on.
That was her family sharing night. She was taking the piss out of a fat woman.
Yeah. Even though she's a bit chubby and is like...
Well, I still think in a kid's book, like, they didn't make mention of the fact that it was wrong to do that.
No.
But also, the mum was instilling in her kids that it's okay to laugh at fat people if they wreck or try on clothes that are way too small for them.
Yeah.
I was just like, that
might be a story that you share with your other half, but not with the children.
I got particularly angry at that part.
It struck me as a little bit strange, that, I'm not going to lie. Yeah, that was odd.
This was the family sharing night when Amy was testing out her
Slappy.
Act with Slappy.
Yeah. And exactly the same thing happens this time
with
as
the neighbours in
Mr.
the first
Woods.
one.
Yeah. Like, he takes the piss out of the dad's slaphead.
Yeah.
And calls the mum fat.
Yeah.
And then calls everyone ugly.
Yeah.
Basically, Jed finds this very funny and is rolling around on the floor.
Brilliant.
Everyone else is mortified, and they send her away to her room. Again.
Yeah. So this dummy...
she's grounded for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
She doesn't get to take part in any of the family sharing nights. She doesn't get to go out with her friends. She doesn't get to do anything at all. But she can go and she can go and perform at the children's party,
3-year-old's party
with the dummy.
Yeah.
And I said, again, she knows the dummy is possessed, but wants to go ahead with the party, which is going to be for 2- and 3-year-olds.
Yeah, this one I put, and so Slappy spoke of his own accord. No one believed Amy, and she took Slappy to her room with no hesitation.
Yeah, put him in the closet.
Yeah, that's fine.
Admittedly, this closet has a lock on it.
Well, not until the very end. It doesn't mention it until the very end. Sarah was shopping all day and brought home a big shopping bag of clothes. What did she buy them with?
Product placement, Banana Republic.
Oh, yeah. So what did she buy them with?
What? Don't know. She's an artist. She must have sold some paintings.
I suppose, yeah. What did she buy them with? Her room had been destroyed when she got home. Paint was spilled all over her white carpet. Why does she have a white carpet if she paints in that room?
Yeah.
That's just a really bad design flaw and not very good parenting.
Yeah, and this is again, the girl with the possessed dummy is grounded but still allowed to perform. This time, small children, even though they want to send her to a psychiatrist. Again, they bring up the fact that she's mental and she must go and see a doctor.
Yeah, that's...
if you don't want to see the dummy again, because she keeps saying, I don't want to see it ever again.
Yeah.
Throw it away. Don't bring it back with you and put it in a closet.
Yeah.
Oh, this was after the party. Sorry, I'm skipping ahead. I apologise.
No, that's right. I've got a part here. It says it's almost written like a noir in places. She keeps asking questions of us and then answering them instantly afterwards. Most chapters...
Sometimes I wonder why families were invented.
Yeah. We should go, most chapters or scenes end with a predictive statement as well.
It's true, yeah.
So it's really weird. Which one was it? Oh, fuck's sake, that's locked. And there was something, she asked a question and then she answered it straight away. Like, is he going to get away with it? Not this time. Yeah. It's kind of like really weird.
No, you're right. Yeah, good call.
Yeah, that I've got here.
No,
she
you're
still
right.
Wants to perform.
So basically what happened, going back to the room was wrecked.
Yes, when Sarah got home.
Yeah.
There was
from the shopping.
Paint all over the floor.
Paint all over the floor. Amy's fault.
Yeah. Why was it Amy's fault in that instance? Oh, because she went to get markers.
Yes. And Jed asked her why she was going...
Amy. No, this was the paint part, wasn't it?
yeah.
Oh.
No, this is not the Amy part. This is the bit before that.
Yeah.
And Jed saw her going into
Sarah's room.
and he asked her why, and she said it's none of your business. And she only went in there to borrow some markers for
do the cover page of her, because she had to finish her science project because she
yeah.
hadn't finished it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and then there was only Mum, Jed, and Amy home.
Yes,
which is why Amy got the blame.
Yeah, because she did actually go into the room.
And then she found Slappy had paint on his shoes.
Yeah, and they were like, "Stop telling us stories,"
because we've already established she's good at storytelling.
Yeah,
in the first family sharing night.
It's one of her things.
But yeah, she still wants to perform at a 3-year-old's birthday party, even after the sharing night debacle. Oh, that was actually before. There's a joke about sneezing in the routine. Are we going to see a return of the green ooze, which we didn't?
That's what I wondered, if the brains was something
ooze.
like
Yeah.
Also, they're replacing a carpet. They barely had the money for a dummy earlier on.
Good point. That's a very good point. Yeah, I put P.S. She's been grounded for 2 weeks because of all the shit Slappy did, and she blamed it on Slappy, but her parents let her do the party with him anyway.
Yeah.
Which is what you said.
Yeah.
Okay, the shit with the 3-year-old Alicia was pretty scary.
Yeah, that was really
creepy.
There was a point at which I thought this could get really dark, and he could just crush that child's hand.
Yeah, because she went up. The girl whose party was Alicia went up to meet him and shook hands with him, and he just wouldn't let go. And the girl was screaming and crying. That was really well written. That part.
Yeah,
I really thought that was.
I didn't make
creepy,
any. Like I said, I didn't make any notes
because you were into it.
Yeah.
So she got a bus home from the party and ran 6 blocks with Slappy.
Yeah.
And threw him in a closet. Why didn't she just dump him somewhere on the way home?
Yeah, that was my point. Yeah, that I jumped ahead on. Like, if you don't want to see the dummy again, throw it away on the way home rather than bring it with you and put it in the closet.
Yeah, taking a bus and then running 6 blocks and then chuck him in the closet.
And then that night is when Sarah wakes up saying...
Screaming. Sorry, it's the trees.
Screaming. There's big red letters on the walls spelling out Amy's name 4 times. It's very clearly 4 times. Yeah. Amy, 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 Amy.
On the other wall, Amy, 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 Amy. On that wall, Amy, Amy. Yeah. Obviously, she blamed it on Slappy because he's got a paintbrush in his hand.
Yeah.
Jed says, when did he learn to spell? I kind of like Jed now.
But then another thing where the mum and the dad are like, it's going to cost us a load to get people in to paint over what has been painted on the walls. And it's like, how fucking lazy are you? Get a pot of paint and do it yourself.
It's going to take 2 coats.
You're going to also, you can barely afford a ventriloquist dummy. You're paying people. You're paying people to come in and paint a wall that you could do yourself.
You replace carpets in Sarah's room. You're repainting Sarah's walls. I think Amy's got a reason to be envious of Sarah.
Yeah.
We can't afford your new dummy. We'll get you a new carpet. We'll paint your walls.
Yeah, we'll get people in to do it.
Yeah,
It'll be a design job.
It'll be nice. Yeah. What's this point?
I didn't write any more until almost the end.
Oh, there's a point here where Slappy, I think it must be that night, there's something about a mural or something. She catches him.
Well, yeah, this is after the walls have been painted back over again, and then Sarah says she's painting a mural in the room to cover up.
That's it. And then at some point in the book, I can't remember why, Slappy grabs Amy's wrist, and I put, he grabbed her wrist. These dummies are big then.
Yeah.
Because he managed to grab her wrist.
Yeah.
And squeeze tight.
Yeah.
And his big threat, if she didn't agree to be his slave.
Again, it's all about slaves, but there's no agenda this time.
I'm thinking if you're a child.
Yeah.
Then slave is kind of fitting, I suppose. There's no agenda except he wants her to be a slave.
But he doesn't even threaten her with powers.
No, he threatens to destroy a painting.
Yeah.
That's his massive threat.
I'm going to destroy her mural. Painting.
I'm going to destroy Jed's stuff if you still don't get it. It's like, so?
And what? Like, you're not very evil, Mr. Slappy.
But then he does say... Then he goes on this real psychological trip, like, they think you're crazy already.
Yeah.
Do you think they're going to... How do you think they're going to treat you? They're going to send you away. And I thought, actually, for a child's book,
Yeah,
That's really good.
Yeah,
because one of Chloe's worst nightmares would be to have to leave us and never see us again.
Yeah, I remember my mum
really good...
once when we were acting out.
Yeah,
seriously, did threaten to have us sent away.
Yeah.
And resorted to picking up the phone and started dialing numbers, and we were like, "Fuck!"
She means it. But I thought that was written really well, because it was when I was reading that part, I was like, "Oh my god, that's so fucking." Although actually, if you're a child reading from a child's perspective, that is a pretty serious threat. Like, I'm looking at it going, "Oh, he's going to destroy shit."
Yeah.
Like, he's not going to kill them. He's not going to hurt them. He's just going to destroy paintings. Yeah. That's ridiculous. Oh, but then it is to get her sent away from her parents.
Yeah.
That's pretty fucking effective.
Yeah.
That was really well done.
It's true, but because she basically went on a bit of a bender of not sleeping for a couple of nights to try and catch him in the act, and that's when he confronts her.
Yeah, I think it was the second night, because she followed him one night.
Because again, I didn't write any notes because I was actually
one night and stopped him, and then the second night, the first night was when Sarah woke up and said, "Oh, she's in here, she's at it again."
Yeah.
And she had the paintbrush in her hand that she'd taken from Slappy. The second night,
he came out and said, "I think we need to have a little chat."
Yeah.
Which is weird.
Which is when he became the slave sort of thing. And then it transpires that Sarah actually knew.
Yeah, and this is the thing.
That it was Slappy. I put, well, Sarah's a bitch.
Yeah. Because at the beginning I was like, shit, like she's been enslaved by him. I thought like he might have gone in there first and been like, I'm doing all this stuff if you don't tell. And the big thing is to set up.
So you thought Sarah was actually under Slappy's control?
Yeah, or like doing things because she was afraid that because he threatened her with something, and so she had to set.
Okay, I never took
Amy
that.
up. That's what I thought at first. No.
Too clever.
Too clever. Yeah, I overthought it. Yeah. And it shows you that I was getting into it because I was like, oh, this could be this and that, and wow.
Oh, I kept doing that, yeah. There's going to be some major twists. No, it's Goosebumps.
No, it's not Shyamalan, it's Stein.
It's not Bumpy Goose, it's Goosebumps.
So I said, so Sarah knew all along, but blamed Amy anyway.
Yeah.
Not because she was Slappy's slave, just because she's jealous of Amy and her great sense of humour. Yeah,
and stories. Yeah. Fucking... That's why. She wanted to get her into trouble.
Yeah.
So, Sarah agrees to help Amy get rid of Slappy finally.
Yeah. Why did she keep quiet about a living dummy that didn't know that she knew that it was alive?
I don't know if Slappy knew that Sarah knew he was alive.
Well, it was never said that Slappy knew. So if she
saw him. I think she said she saw him and pretended to be asleep. But and that was the Amy stuff that she spotted. She saw him do that.
But if he's got no leverage over her, why is she then? She's just being a bitch.
She's scared. She tried to convince herself that it wasn't real. But she said she was scared, and she was jealous, and she just wanted her to get into trouble because she was jealous of her. So they decide that they're going to try and get rid of Slappy.
They do. They wrestle him to the ground and tie his arms and legs in knots.
Also, with all this diving about and rolling around and screaming at each other, Mum and Dad's still asleep.
Yeah, this was another thing from the first one. Where,
Mum and Dad just slept through
lots of fights and screaming and shouting and no one hears anything.
Because, as you said, it's in Sarah's room, which is across the hall from Mum and Dad's. Or which is down the end with Mum and Dad. Unless Jed's at that end and the two girls at the other end.
I thought that they went from Sarah's room back to Amy's room, which is where they find him. Yeah. Because she's locked him back in the closet, and then she goes to see Sarah, and that's when the revelation comes out, where Sarah actually knows that the dummy is alive, and then they go back.
Because it's at that point they go back to Amy's room, and as they're walking in the room, Slappy kicks the closet door open.
Destroys the closet door.
Yeah. So maybe as it's at the other end of the room. But originally, when Amy dives on Slappy in Sarah's, it's in Sarah's. Oh, but that does wake Mum and Dad up. Good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, so this time they go back to Amy's room, and that's where they're all talking and shouting, which is at the other end of the house.
Yes, and this is where they tie his arms up and his legs up, and then they take him out.
A couple of blocks up the road, they hide from a car.
Don't know why.
For some reason. And they chuck him in a bin.
He's not as strong as Mr. Wood.
Doesn't seem to be.
Because Mr. Wood really kind of like fought.
Yeah, they were like rolling over and falling downstairs. And all sorts
Slappy's a little bit weaker, but then he doesn't have any bones.
Yeah, good point. Neither did Mr. Wood though. And then so after they've dumped him, they've gone home. They've gone.
Well,
to sleep.
they were going to put him in a bin, weren't they?
Good point.
And then they decided against that because earlier on she'd seen a drain, and then she remembered the drain.
Yeah.
And was like, oh, we can just throw him down there.
Throw him down a storm drain.
Yep. And just like in the first book,
he turned up for breakfast.
Yeah.
As I put, these dummies always turn up for breakfast, and they're always filthy when they do. Because Mr. Wood, they buried him.
They did, yeah. And he got out
and
then appeared all, covered in dirt. You're done. That's it.
That's
is
my
it?
notes.
Okay.
Gone, yeah.
I don't have too many more, if I'm honest.
So yeah, he turned up for breakfast.
He turns up for breakfast.
What's he doing down here? Take him back up to your room.
And why is he so grubby?
But she did, and she was like terrified and kind of like, what the hell am I going to do?
But Sarah didn't back her up again. Sarah just sat down for breakfast. Like
well, no,
she
did. She was going to go up with her.
Yeah,
to take the dummy up, but then the mum said, "No,
they
you
didn't
sit down
say
and eat your
anything.
breakfast."
I mean, I know that
she didn't speak out about it.
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
But I suppose it's kind of like we know because I think they wrap it up at the end of the book where they say we know they wouldn't believe, so we had to come up with a plan.
Yeah, and you never see that bit happening, which is weird.
Well, I suppose it's like a twist at the end, isn't it? It's the big reveal.
It is, yeah. Which we've just spoiled.
Not quite.
No. But she takes him upstairs and puts him back in the closet. Now, I read when he escaped from the closet as though he forced the door open and it broke.
I think broke the lock.
Yeah. So she's put him back in the closet that now doesn't have a lock. And then they all go to school and work.
Yeah, but
in which case he could do
trying to think what
he
she
could
can
do anything.
He could destroy the whole house, but then it wouldn't be beneficial to him because Amy's not home.
Yeah, good point.
Come on. Tom,
yeah,
come on. So when they get home, they go to bed that night, and she wakes up.
Yes.
Slappy's creeping out of the closet again.
So she follows him again
into Sarah's room
again.
When he picks up a paintbrush again.
But this time,
does she dive on him again?
She goes to dive on him. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she goes to attack him, but Dennis, the other dummy, rushes out, cracks head down, smashes into Slappy with his head.
Slappy, who falls over and smacks his head into the
iron
bed
post
frame of Sarah's bed, and it splits in two. His head splits in two, and a giant white worm comes out and wanders into the skirting board.
Creepy, fucking creepy.
That's weird.
Where did that worm come from? Got shivers.
Dennis runs away.
And
then Mum and Dad come out and we're like, "Oh my god!"
Out of the closet. I was like, "Where the fuck were they doing in the closet?"
What?
Yeah,
easy. Saying, "Oh my god, I totally believe you now. I can't believe that this has happened."
We saw it all.
We saw it all.
And you're like,
And then they explained that they told Mum and Dad to hide in the closet.
Well, I think Sarah was like, I think Amy's like really lost it. Hide in the closet so you can see what she's doing. So that's why they do that. And then Amy purposefully didn't shut the closet properly so Slappy could get out easily.
Yeah,
it was his plan between Sarah.
Yeah, Sarah convinced.
And Jed,
here we go.
For some
reason. It was all planned. Sarah and I had worked out before dinner.
Yeah.
So they were in league.
Yeah.
Sarah convinced Mum and Dad to hide in the closet. Mum and Dad were really creeped out by the way I was acting. They were willing to do anything. So Sarah pretended to go to sleep. Mum and Dad hid in the closet. I left the closet door unlocked to make it easier for Slappy to get out. I knew Slappy would creep into Sarah's room. I knew Mum and Dad would finally see that I'm not crazy. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So this was under the pretense that, she's mental. Why don't you
hide in the closet and see what she gets up to? Because I think they established earlier in the book that the paint was dry.
Yeah.
The Amy.
Yeah,
the paint was dry, so it happened soon after they went to bed.
Yeah.
So you're not going to have to stay up all night.
Yeah. Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
But
why? How did they convince Jed to get involved though? Because they said Jed was going to come in dressed as Dennis. To throw Slappy off,
head.
And it worked out better than we thought. But how did they convince Jed?
Not really.
Slappy was alive.
Not 100%.
That's something that's a bit of a You know.
Actually, yeah.
Why would Jed agree to do it?
Because his part in it wouldn't have been coordinated with the Mum and Dad at the same time. No. Because otherwise they'd have been somehow. So, in some way, Sarah and Amy convinced Jed to come in dressed as Dennis and attack the living dummy.
Yeah. which he wasn't
and he was
aware
like, yeah,
alive.
fair enough.
Yeah.
But they go down to see Jed because he's run away, and they were like, where is he?
Where's he gone? Jed, come here. Mum called him, and he didn't answer.
They went into his room, and he was asleep.
All this
and he was
time?
like, oh my God, it's gone 11. I should have been down there.
Sorry, I was supposed to be dressed up as Dennis, wasn't I?
So who fought Slappy?
Who fought Slappy?
The end.
Do you know
and I
what?
just put, wow, that ending.
Yeah. Do you know what, though?
What?
That was miles better than the first book.
It was, yeah.
I actually really
was.
enjoyed reading that for the nostalgic. That was how I remember Goosebumps.
Yeah, it was a heck of a lot better.
And I think what helped as well was Chloe, I told you earlier, has been watching the Goosebumps TV show.
Yeah.
Which is terrible, on Netflix. She's been blasting through those. She's really into it. And it's actually creeping her out. So I'm now looking at it with that in my mind, kind of like, oh, it does actually work for children.
However, it's a better book.
It's just a better book in general. Yeah.
It was much, there was a lot more description. It was just a lot more...
It flowed a lot better.
Yeah.
It moved along at quite a nice pace. Like I said, there were page breaks in my version, which made it better. There wasn't too much ridiculousness, just a little bit.
Yeah.
There were moments that were just like, what the fuck?
Of course, but you're going to get that, aren't you?
It's an improvement. And hopefully number 3, which I've never read, never seen the episode. Hopefully,
well, I don't think I'd read that one.
I've seen the episode on TV, though. But a long time ago. I don't remember it. So... fingers crossed for the third
one
3.
can only be an improvement, surely.
And that will be next month.
So
on go out, grab it on your Kindle or whatever.
Indeed.
For the last week of June, so whenever that falls, I don't know.
Not sure either.
Can't bother to look it up. We'll find out. Let us know what your thoughts are.
If you've got a more eloquent way of describing it than Andrew. Yeah. You've seen where the bar is at.
Stiff competition on the commenting.
Most certainly. If you think we were too harsh at any point, if you think we're actually softening up too much, let us know. I actually enjoyed reading that one.
I did.
It was still a bit of a chore because I read it all virtually in one go.
Perhaps that helped, though.
Maybe. But I read the other one almost in one go as well.
I suppose,
it's a big improvement on the first one.
Yeah, much.
A big improvement. So, yeah.
That one gets our stamp of approval.
Yeah, Night of Living Dummy 2. I don't think you'd necessarily have to have read the first one to enjoy the second one.
No mention of it in the book at all, the first one. No callbacks to it.
Nope.
I will say, though, perhaps that's why they didn't make number 1 as the TV show and they only made number 2.
Because it's better.
Perhaps. We shall see.
We shall see.
That's
next
coming up
time.
in a few episodes. In
about 4
TV
episodes.
Series, I mean.
Oh, right. Okay. So I hope you've enjoyed our second ABH Book Club episode.
Yes.
Let us know if you've read along. Let us know your thoughts. And get involved.
Yeah, it's good fun.
It's a fun time.
Fun. We'll get more serious after the Goosebumps, I think.
Yeah, we're breaking ourselves in to do more serious things. So, for this second ABH Book Club, use the hashtag, of course, it's very important.
Yeah, it is.
I have been Tom.
I've been Ant.
Reader beware, you're in for a scare.